All right, and we're live, guys. Thank you for joining us today. We have a special masterclass for you. Most weeks we've been covering our environmental platform. Today we're doing Sample H2O, which is our drinking water platform. And we have a special guest with us as well. As usual, we have Russell Schindler, CEO of SampleServe. But today we also have Ellen Riley Wong. She's our Sample H2O sales professional. Say hi, Ellen.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ellen. Nice to meet y'all.
So Ellen's joining us. She's gonna be our Sample H2O professional. So and we're really happy to have her, and it's gonna be some fun times coming ahead. And I just want you guys to know, if you guys have any comments or questions, enter them in the chat. Even after this this live stream is done, these links are still the same. You can always share these with anybody you like, and also we'll get to the comments even after this is over with. So don't worry about if it's over.
So I want you to back up one slide. I want to hear a little bit about Ellen's background. How did she come to SampleServe? And, so just
tell us a little about yourself, Ellen.
Yeah.
So born and raised in Boston, living here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Met Russell through an industry trade group, ASIL. And from there, I've been working with the laboratory industry, laboratory goods, so any type of laboratory equipment, and helping them with their shipping needs, and decided that I wanted to come over to the other side and help with the software, because a lot of what I do is help people find solutions to problems. And in the laboratory world, I hear that there is a lot of need for automation and making sure that time is saved, that accuracy is incorporated into what seems, from an outsider's perspective, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, but it appears to me that there was a need when I met Russell a couple of years ago in this world for having more accuracy, better automation, and really getting up to 2023, 2024 from the perspective of having software and technology to use versus doing everything by hand. So that's why I'm here. Formerly a banker, used automation there, and in the shipping world as well. So excited to be here.
And now I can't remember. Did we choose you, or did you choose us?
A little bit of both.
No.
A little bit of both. Okay, all right, perfect.
Yeah, I was excited about what you guys were doing when Russell told me. I was like, yeah, let's stay in touch. So we did.
Yeah, I've been recruiting her for almost a year, ever since I met her.
Yeah. So it's one of those manifest destiny kind of situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she knows all the labs out there because she's been working with laboratories forever. So it's a little different aspect in terms of the technology, but same thing in terms of offering technological solutions that work. So
perfect. Well, Russell, you want to get into the platform? Let's start. Going over some of these benefits here.
Yeah. So it's been kind of a product that we've talked about just briefly in most of our previous meetings, but this one we're going to go into in depth in what this, not real in depth, but a good overview of what this product's all about. So, and this is specifically for sampling drinking water, so which is a little bit different. There's not a lot of kind of comprehensive reports like you would see with our other product. You can see behind me. There's not a lot of mapping that needs to go on. It's literally just reporting the results. So we've kind of pared this down. It's simpler to use, and probably the most important part is it can be used by lay people very easily, like non-professionals. Just a homeowner wants to sample their own well. So it's what's called a progressive web app. It means you don't have to download anything onto your phone. However, once you log in or you go to collect your samples, it's going to act like an app on your phone, but it's not anything you need to download from Apple or Google. So that's really probably the biggest differentiator. It's really simple to use, and it's most of the work is done by the laboratory, but the work that is done by the customer, the person filling out or collecting the information, is really simple to use. So go ahead and so the first part is where the laboratory is going to actually build a test kit, and they can build a kit and it can incorporate anything. It could just be one sample, like for, bacteria, or it can be lead, copper, bacteria, E. coli, and, chlorine, anything you want to test for. You can build that custom kit. And then the customer can enter, scan that kit. Each kit is uniquely identified. Each bottle also is identified, associated with that kit. And so it knows how many bottles you got to fill up, and it'll walk you through that. You're going to enter the information, very simple. Type it into your phone. If you've got autocomplete on your phone, it's going to, practically fill it out for you. And then once that sample's collected, the laboratory, this is the nice thing about it, the lab knows as soon as you're done, you've hit that sample button, it's got the information that you just typed in because it's, all cloud-based. Mm-hmm. So the lab knows that samples are inbound and they should be anticipating those samples in a short amount of time. And then when the lab receives those samples, they can document that receipt of that. So they've got the chain of custody documented when this, who collected the samples, who received the samples at the laboratory. And then they do their analysis like they normally would. And then when they enter the data, they're able to send out those reports kind of as part of the automated process. The reports go out to all the individuals that the user identified as needing them. For instance, if they said, I need to copy the county health department, they just check a box. They've entered in what county they're going to be in, and then that copy would automatically go to the county health department individuals that the laboratory is identified as being part of that county. So the lab will update the email addresses for the county officials at the county health department. And then the user just has to say, send it to the county, and then it automatically goes to the county or whatever department it is that the labs and the users have identified. Each state is a little bit different in how they do things, but it's very customizable so that when you identify the state you're working in, it'll follow that particular procedure.
And the nice thing is this is all branded to your lab.
So right. So it's not going to be a sample serve app. It's, when you as a laboratory sign up with our program, you're going to put your logo on it. It's going to be connected to your website. So when the kit will actually say, your logo, your brand, everything on it. They just scan the QR code, takes them to the website, and then they start entering the data, scanning the bottles and entering the data. So it's really simple, really automated. We provide all the instructions that you would put on the kit or put into a kit. Doesn't have to be a box. It could be a bag.
A bag, yeah.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be anything. It could just be one bottle.
Right. Let's go in a little bit of detail about each step here.
Okay.
So testing kit assembly, Russell.
Yeah. So you identify the kit. If you've got a bunch of people that are just doing bacteria, you're going to say, I'm just doing a bacteria kit. Print out 30 of them. You can create 30 bacteria kits. You can add 30 lead, copper, and bacteria, however you want to do it. And then the customer is actually going to scan that kit QR code, opens up a data entry. They scan the bottle then. So you scan the kit and then scan the bottle, and it walks them through that, tells them what to do. Then they start typing in the data. And then before they submit the data, it's going to ask them to confirm that everything's typed right. It'll show them a screen. They can scroll through, make sure everything's entered right. They confirm it's correct. They hit submit. And then the next thing that pops up is a Google Earth map showing them where they need to drop the samples off or the shipping address that they need to ship to if they're going to ship overnight. And it just becomes really simple for that. Again, it just kind of dumbs it down exactly what they're going to do. All the instructions are right there on the phone. And then, so the logo can be right on the labels and on the kit. Again, a kit can include anything you want it to be, and then you can print out multiple kits right away. So if you want to kind of pre-assemble your kits, so say do 50 kits at the beginning of the week, and then you just kind of hand them out as needed. We've even got some people that are putting these kits in like hardware stores and kind of selling them that way. And so you can kind of do some outreach beyond what you maybe normally have, because all the instructions and everything are very self-explanatory. And then from that point on, they just simply follow the instructions, which again are very simple.
One thing I've noticed that laboratories like is the form that we require them to fill out has requirements on there. You can't submit the form without filling out the essentials like your email, because
Yeah.
how do you get your results back if you forget to put down the email?
That's
And a lot of these are automated, so your email's already usually popping up automatically, so there's no typos. So you're making sure you're getting the return information back easily.
Yeah, that's one of the more common problems associated with laboratory and paper chain of custody is that they will just leave stuff blank. They're like, that's not important. That's not important. They won't put down the county, but they want it to be sent to the county anyway, right? And so we can make, and this is up to the laboratory to decide which fields are mandatory. And so the person can't submit the data until they fill out all the mandatory fields.
Perfect. All right, let's get on to the receiving samples at the laboratory.
Yeah, so when the samples arrive at the laboratory, because of the QR codes, right, they're able to just scan those QR codes, and then it takes them right to that sample, and they can just mark it as received. There's some questions in there like, is the proper temperature, is there ice, that kind of stuff that they'll answer right away, and then it's documented as received. And so everyone's on the same page then. And then if the person doesn't even have a smartphone, there is ways where they can bring the samples in, and like one lab that we work with has a tablet right in their lobby, and they just go, okay, you're dropping off some samples, enter the information right there. They just got one sitting on the desk. They make the user enter it in, so that it's, again, that they're not responsible for typos or trying to interpret somebody's data. But they can also just have them write information down if they just don't know how to use a tablet or something. And then the laboratory can enter the information as well, using the same method.
So it can work with paper if people really, they really want to use the paper instead. It can work with that fine, even though we don't suggest it.
So we got a lot of like building inspectors, through some laboratories we work with that are, collecting samples just on a building inspection. And the response from the building inspectors is that they love it, right? Because it's actually faster, because a lot of the information on their phone that they're typing in is completed with autocomplete. So if instead of having to type your address where you want them to mail the information to, or where your office is at, you just type in the first couple of letters and it goes like, oh yeah, I know his office, boom, there it is. And sometimes if it's asking for your email, I mean, we've all seen it on our phones where it just,
automatically
type in the first one, it populates everything else.
Yeah.
It's still editable, if you do want to send a different email. Right. It's all autocomplete is a beautiful thing.
And one of the nice things that labs really like is that the status of these samples change as each workflow happens. So when you print the labels, it shows up as a printed label, empty fields. But then when the user uploads all their data, it shows as the sample's been collected. They can pull up that information right away. They know when samples are coming in because it shows up that the samples have been collected. So
each kit has 4 statuses. The first one is printed. It means like you've got 50 kits sitting in a box ready to get distributed. So, and each one is uniquely identified, a unique ID. And so it'll show the 50, kits printed. The next status is collected, right? So you've handed it out. Somebody's went in, they've collected the sample, and hasn't arrived at the lab yet. So the status will be collected. The next status is received, right? The lab receives the samples. And then the last status is reported after they've done the analysis, reported the results. So at any time, in real time, the lab can see how many are in each category, right? They see that there's only 2 printed left. They may need to print more, right? Because they're like, it's Monday morning, we're going to expect to deliver 15 kits. Today, they need to make sure they print out 15 more. So it really kind of keeps them up to date on where everything's at.
Right. And the other benefit is there's no data reentry. We've noticed a lot of problems with labs having to get that paper form with that sample and having to re-enter that data either into an Excel form or something else.
Yeah. So. And one thing and this was a custom feature that we added at the request of a laboratory that we work with. Apparently people lose their reports a lot, right? So even though you email it to them, they can't find it, whatever, they want you to resend it. So we made this resend function really simple. You just go, what was the address? You can search, that particular client by their name, by their address, by the sample ID,
Yeah.
and then you just type it up and then just hit resend, and it will resend the emails to whoever needed them.
Yeah. Hold on, you're getting ahead of me. Let's cover the reports part here first.
Okay. Yeah. So the reports, like I said, you can pre-enter. If the user wants you to copy their realtor for some reason, you can add that in there. And then again, if they know that they need to report to the Department of Agriculture or the state health department or the county health department, they just check a box. I need to go to the health department. I need to go to the Department of Ag. And then based on the address of that property, it will auto-populate like the county health department emails. So the lab will actually pre-populate that, and they can kind of stay on top of, like, if a new person has left the health department or, has left, or a new person's joined, they can just kind of keep those emails up to date. And all you got to do is put the county in, and it automatically copies the health department.
Yeah. And then exporting your data is really easy too.
Yeah. And then all the raw data. And so this is really useful for, like, if you're getting audited by the state, drinking water certification program, you can export all the data, and it's all reviewable right there. We even track, like, how you get paid. We don't do the payment through the platform. But if you want to track, like, some people maybe have an account with you, some are paying by credit card, some are paying by check or cash. We track all that stuff as well.
The nice thing is that these reports, they're formatted automatically. So you're not changing anything each time. You're not, the only thing you have to do is go and enter the results, make sure that it's going out to the right people, and hitting send. And like you said before, if somebody asks for the report again, say, hey, I didn't get it, or hey, I can't find it, hey, I lost it. All you can do is just you can search up any sample through either their address, their phone number, their sample ID, all kinds of ways. You can go back in, just hit resend, and it goes back out to them.
Yeah. So we have a lab that was actually our first customer in this, and we kind of built it to their particular needs because they did a lot of drinking water testing. And they're like, look, I'm just going to get out of the drinking water business because the majority of their samples were for bacteria, right? And the price point on a bacteria is probably one of the lower price points. Mm-hmm. And so about over half of the drinking water samples they were getting were just bacteria samples, and they're getting like $20 tops, sometimes even lower than that. Mm-hmm. But it was taking them 15 to 20 minutes per sample to manage the data because they would normally come in one at a time. So they're like 15, 20 minutes of labor, and all they get is like, maybe $20, sometimes a little less. Mm-hmm. They're like, I'm losing money on it, right? They still have to do the analysis and everything too on top of the paperwork because they're entering the chain of custody. They were kind of manually doing the reporting. So we got them from 15 to 20 minutes per sample down to under 90 seconds, the time that the staff was spending on the intake and on the reporting. So huge savings for them, which then pushed their profit margin on each sample significantly higher. And so now, they're super happy with the product, and they're still in the drinking water business, and it's profitable for them.
Yeah, it makes it all worth it, and they're very happy. I know that.
Yeah.
And I know this is a common problem for a lot of labs out there. Just the paperwork and data entry time on a sample really makes it, unprofitable and not worth their time. So you either got to raise prices or find a solution to make it quicker. And Sample H2O is definitely one of those solutions.
And we're not really replacing. So a lot of the older labs, not older, but smaller labs that, maybe county labs or government labs, they've got antiquated systems, right? They're using either Excel for their data management or they're all like Microsoft Access, and the data input and everything's very manual. So this is specifically built for that. We're not really a LIMS system. We don't connect to your equipment or anything like that, whereas a typical LIMS system might do that. We're kind of like I don't even want to call it a mini LIMS system, but we're, a data management system for that one particular use case for drinking water. And if that's what you're looking for a solution for that, especially a lot of the county, water departments, county labs, that kind of stuff. That's really all they do. There's a perfect solution for them. And I think our next slide is probably going to talk about pricing.
Yeah.
Boom. It's almost like I knew that was coming up. It's a very minimal startup cost, typically less than $2,000 to get started. You're going to have to get a printer and some labels, but it's this off-the-shelf stuff. Most labs probably already have them. And then we're looking at like $2 to $4 per sample. If you've got any kind of volume at all, and when I say volume, like over 50 samples a month, we can probably be, at the $2 point. And then it's customizable too, right? You put your logo on there. We don't care how many parameters you're testing for, if it's one bacteria or 50 different chemicals in your kit, doesn't matter. And it's unlimited users, right? We don't care how many people at so on the lab side, when the lab's receiving things, we do have user accounts so that no one can log into your laboratory side of things. So the customer facing stuff, no username or password required. The laboratory internal stuff is all secure. Username and password is required, but we don't charge per user. You can have as many users as you want. And then there's no extra fee. So it's just going to be a startup cost and then a per sample fee after that.
And the per sample fee is for a reason, because, we built it so it scales with every lab, as opposed to having, a flat rate monthly fee or an annual fee or per users. It just depends. If you're a big lab, you're going to be processing more samples. You're going to, it's going to.
A lot of these samples are collected associated with like real estate transactions, right? If you're buying a house, you're going to want to have a home inspector. Home inspector is going to test for lead in your copper or lead and copper in your pipes. So as real estate transactions go down, lab work goes down. Our fees will just kind of scale with how busy your lab is or isn't. So that's really the nice part is like, if you do nothing for that month, no samples, you're not going to get an invoice from us. So.
All right. I think that's going to sum it up for us, Russell. Really well put. I think we covered it pretty well. Ellen, how do you feel about sample H2O changing the laboratory industry?
I think it's going to rock it.
Well, yeah, and if you are a lab out there and you are interested, Ellen's going to be the one you want to talk to.
Yes.
And she'll be able to get you hooked up, get you set up. Implementation is actually very quick. We could usually get a lab set up inside of a week. So
yeah, and if you want to get started, you can always go to sampleserve.com and you'll see the laboratory solution right there on the home page. Click on that. You can either schedule a more in-depth demo, or we can start working with you today. It's getting started takes how long do you think, Russell? I think we got it down to you can get a lab going in about 2 days. All you really need is the printer.
Well, we are pretty busy, so I'm going to say a week right now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's not bad then. Oh
yeah.
And
it might even be longer as people sign up. We can do them so fast, but the more backlog we have, the longer it's going to take.
Okay, still not bad though for changing, completely revolutionizing the way you're, intaking samples and sending out reports.
Yeah.
So, all right. Just want to mention that, this covered Sample H2O today. We do have other apps. If your laboratory also does environmental sample collection or sample analysis, we have an app for that for your for inside your lab for receiving samples, and also for your clients who are collecting the samples out in the field and creating reports. And that is Sample ENV and Sample Log for your laboratory. And we also have a wastewater testing solution as well called Sample SWR. So make sure you head over to sampleserve.com. We have all the solutions on there. You can get in-depth demos and we can get you started on anything. So I think we're going to cover it there. How do you feel, Ellen?
Fantastic. Looking forward to working with everybody.
What's the weather like down in Florida?
I don't know. I've been busy working, so I haven't really been outdoors yet today, but I'm assuming it's hot and humid.
Okay. All right. Next episode, we're going to have Ellen play us something on that grand piano behind her.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to end it there. Thank you, guys. Make sure you give this a share to anybody else that you think this would be appropriate to, and leave a comment or something. We'll talk about it too as well. So thank you, guys. Look out for our next masterclass next Wednesday. We'll see you.